Well, I would say that you're being attacked. And I would say being attacked is a good sign that you're on the right course. And as far as that's a very difficult, it's a sin, but it's also an infirmity, right? It's a sin to be slothful, but it's a sin because it just separates us from the love of God. Not because God says, I won't love you if you're slothful, but because if you're slothful, you can't feel God, right? You can't feel God. You can't feel his love. And so it's really a diabolical, terrible condition. So what I would say to you is the same thing I would say to somebody. Sloth is, it's not exactly the same, but anybody who's been depressed, really depressed, knows that one of the most powerful things you can do when you're depressed is something. Okay? Something. Brush your teeth. That's a victory. You know, actually take a shower. That's a victory. Cut the grass. That's a victory. Cut half the grass is a victory, right? Eat something other than potato chips. That's a victory. I mean, these do something, okay? It's very, very important. It's just doing something. And when you do enough somethings, you start to be where you can do things that are much more productive and actually get out of the depressive state. So sloth is, what's the use? You know, there's an element of laziness to it, but there's really an element of complete despair. That what does it matter? It doesn't make any difference. It does matter if you brush your teeth when you're depressed. Because if you brush your teeth when you're depressed, tomorrow you might brush your teeth and take a shower. And you might also brush your teeth, take a shower, and, I don't know, study for a test coming up or go see a friend. What would you say to someone?
That's real, man. And it's so kind. There's a gentleness to that message, you know what I mean? You know? As someone who brushed his teeth today, I feel seen. Tony getting mad called out. I feel like the person who asked the question got a little called out. He's like, I deal with sloth. And he's like, he's like, brush your teeth. If I was the person who said that, as gentle and kind as that message was, I would be like, why are you assuming I don't brush my teeth? Now everybody here thinks I don't brush my teeth or shower. That's how I would feel if I were that person. I've battled clinical depression on and off most of my life, and he is spot on. Yeah, that's what, I mean, I guess I'll just be honest, so have I. I've battled despondency, depression, so heavy that it becomes difficult to move, you know? You can't do anything. And the idea of just being like, just do one thing. Just do one thing. And just the kindness in saying something like that is really refreshing, you know? It's really refreshing to hear. Because there is a lot of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and it's like, I can't communicate with you. If you're telling me to pull myself up by my bootstraps, I can't communicate with you. You're like a fundamentally different type of person. It's like you're a different species. You clearly do not understand what I'm wrestling with. You know, if it were so simple, I'd do it. But it is still a sin, you know, it is still a sin. Despondency is a sin. And it's a sin I wrestle with a lot. I wrestle with it a lot. I'd say it's probably my biggest struggle is despondency. some people say it's an ADHD thing. Maria kind of looked up some of my an ADHD thing, and it said there's some break in the mind of an ADHD person where no matter how much they want to do something, if they're not, that doesn't have anything, it in no way correlates to whether or not they will. There's a weird thing in an ADHD mind that no matter how much someone wants to do something in their mind, it doesn't correlate to them being able to. And it's like this weird thing that I've struggled with. And I never knew there was a word for it, or it was like something. But my whole life has been like that, where it's like, I'll want to do something intellectually in my heart. I'm like, that's what I want to do. But if I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. I don't know how to explain it to anybody. It's just, how can you explain that? You know? You think the despondency is your own thoughts. That's an aspect of it. Yeah, Maria told me about this. Sometimes I believe in ADHD. I'm not going to lie. Even though it was invented by a Jew. Sometimes I believe in it. Because I read the symptoms and I'm like, that's just me. But maybe, that's just diagnosing the result of a tangified nation, of a completely subverted people. They're like, oh, it's ADHD. ADHD is the reason you can't conform to this box that we've made for you. You know, it's you have a neurological disorder. That's what's going on. Oh, are you not able to do this insane world we've built? Are you not able to hack it in this playpen for girl bosses? And are you not able to hack it in your cubicle? Are you not able to hack it under these fluorescent lights, sitting still for 10 hours? Are you not able to do this? Oh yeah, that's because you have a disorder. I don't think it's a disorder to not be a freaking stackable cube. I don't see it as a disorder. But then, you know, sometimes I read people, I hear about symptoms and stuff, and I'm like, every single thing in this describes me to a T. I'm like, that's weird. You let the Tengu put an ADHD in you? I do all the things for work, but hardly lift a finger for myself. That's interesting. Yeah, the bit-by-bit thing helps. Just do one thing. Here's a weird thing. Sometimes I just need Maria to be there in order to accomplish a task. Simple task. The task can be so simple to anybody. But I need Maria just to stand there. She doesn't have to talk. She doesn't have to do anything. I just need her there. And if she's there, I can do it. You like kind of learn how to trick yourself into getting things done. And ultimately, it just turned into me making music 24/7 my entire life. It was like I found a thing that's endlessly intriguing to me. I found a thing that I never stop loving it. Maybe one day I will. I don't know. It's in God's hands. But so far, it's been, like 25 years. I cannot, this is every day. All I want to do is create. And I'm compelled to. I'm enthusiastic about it. It's what I do all the time. All the time. And it's always interesting. It's always fascinating. And so it can be like that. Like, okay, yeah, to the detriment of everything else in my life, I'm an artist. And maybe that's just a build class. You know, maybe it's not a disorder. Maybe it's a build class. You know, one of my biggest problems in the early 2000s was everybody was calling themselves an artist. Everyone was walking around talking about how they're a musician and an artist. And they weren't. They were just people clogging the airways. While people who have no choice but to be artists go unheard. Mad geniuses, freaks of nature, aliens are out here making art because they need to. Making art because they literally freaking need to in order to get through the day. And they're not going heard because you got a bunch of freaking executive bros who are good at marketing themselves, making some some freaking Goomba garbage that doesn't matter at all. You know? That's why I've said a million times, most of the great artists of the world never get heard. Because they're making art, they're not marketing themselves. I stumbled into this. You guys are now able to see what I've been doing my entire life for no one. For nobody. Just doing it. Just freaking doing it. And now, because I started doing it on live stream and because, you know, other people saw it and wanted and kind of like called people's attention to it, specifically Jimmy. Now all of a sudden it's actually seen. But it could have just as easily not been seen at all. Do you understand that? It could have just as easily been never seen at all. Gravy said, the first time I heard you, I was like, he's an artist's artist, if that makes sense. Yeah, it does. Not to be like a, you know, arrogant bastard, but yeah. It also happened once, you know, I became Orthodox and I was fully committed to just living my quiet life as an Orthodox Christian. But I kept having this nagging suspicion that I was given these gifts for a reason and I didn't know why. And I would pray about it a lot. Like, God, why did you give me this? Like, I don't understand what it's for. If it's just for me, that's fine. But like, it feels like I should be doing something with all of this, you know? And then all of a sudden, all of this happened. And now I do it in front of you guys, you know? But I was going to do it whether you guys were here or not. This isn't a occupation I'm trying on. You know what I mean? This isn't something I'm trying out. Oh, let me see if I can make it as a musician. No. I'm a musician, whether I make it or not. That's always been the case. And often I've been homeless because of it. For first artists that seem like you enjoy doing what you do and don't belittle us for not fully understanding something. Do people do that? Philosopher Fish said, what are we doing again? Well, we were watching this thing. Don't make me freaking self-conscious, bro. You're making me self-conscious. We were watching this thing, and then we were talking about sloth, and that went into ADHD, and that went into my own personal struggle.
Two mentals don't make a non-mental.
I don't even know what that means, bro. Anyway, so that's a good clip. Next clip.